Hello! Welcome back to my channel, Callie's Kingdom. And first off, I want to say it is literally pouring so much outside while I'm filming this. So if you can hear anything, just take it as like nice background ambiance. But I hear a lot of YouTubers say like, oh, sorry for the noise. And then I'm always watching their video like, what noise? I can't hear anything. So maybe you too are like that. If so, let's just continue on with the video anyway. So, as you might have seen by the title, not only am I an avid reader, but I am actually an author myself! And it's been my dream ever since I was little to become an author. And I always said I wanted to grow up to be an author. I wrote my first, book, if you can call it that, when I was in kindergarten, actually. It was called The Stolen Sword. It was about me, my sister, my friend, and my sister's friend, and we were pirate princesses. And my sword got stolen, so we had to go on an adventure to go and get it back. Maybe one day I'll pull out some of my stories from when I was little and read them to you guys. But ever since I wrote that book, I've been hooked. Over the years, I've had many writing projects, including a sequel to that book, another book about people with, powers of sorts. I think there was a girl with fire powers, which that kind of translates to the book that I actually got published. And I also, when I was in second grade, wrote my first chapter book. It was called The Magic Box, and I loved it so much. It was, again, about me and my friends, and we found this box that transported us to a magical land, and we had to stop the evil people from trying to take it over. You know, classic story like that. But when my family moved, I lost the copy of it, and I was convinced that someone stole it and published it because it was that good, and they were getting all the money, and the movers stole it, and blah, blah, blah. I was so freaked out about that, but anyway, that's a little bit of my background in writing and how I've been writing ever since I was little, but you guys are probably curious about the book that I actually published. So, the first book I published is called Elements. Look at this amazing cover, though. Can we just give a round of applause for my friend? She's actually an artist herself, so I'll put down her link in the comments. I think it's Eva Lee Art or Eva Roy Art, something like that. So if you want any pet portraits, maybe she can make you guys a cover, anything like that, highly recommend. She made mine for free, so thank you so much. It basically has the main characters on the cover. There's Ash, River, Carter, and Lily. So, this book is basically about 4 kids. 2 of them are water elementals. Basically, they have water powers, and 2 of them are fire elementals. Basically, they have fire powers. And I started writing this book when I was right before 7th grade. I actually remember exactly when I started writing it. I was in the car and we were driving to a water park. Not like a water park. It was more like the local pool, but there were 2 slides in it and it was pretty big. It was a really nice pool. And I remember I would always have to do something in the car because my mind got bored easily when I was younger and I always wanted something to do. So I took a notebook and I started writing it down. And this is the notebook that I wrote the first draft of Elements in. It actually finished this in this notebook, but I only got part of it in here. I think it was this much of the notebook was in there. So I based this a little bit off of a game that I started playing with some of my friends and my sister. And we didn't get far in it. We just kind of had the first, chapter or so, just the beginning parts of it. Okay, I'm back. And apparently our basement was starting to flood with some of the water, but I think we're getting it figured out. I was helping my mom get all the towels and, put the water, but my dad came home and he seems to know what to do and said he was fine, so here I am again. But if I need to leave partially through the video, now you guys know why. But anyway, where were we? My notebook, yes. So I started writing this, and I remember saying, this is the book that I'm going to get published. And I knew it was far-fetched. I was literally just a girl going into 7th grade, but I remembered something. When I was in 2nd grade, I went to this place called Boondocks. It was near us. It was a climbing place. But there was a girl there and she had a table set up with all of her books. And she was 12, 13 years old, and her uncle or aunt or something ran a publishing house, so she loved to write, and she got her book published, and it was actually pretty good for her age and everything. I remember reading the book, and I enjoyed it a lot. It was great for, like, the elementary school age, and it was a chapter book, so I was like, oh my god, I didn't know that kids could get their books published. So ever since that day, it was my goal to publish a book before I was 16 years old. I don't know why I put that arbitrary age on it. I guess that just made me feel like, okay, 16's my limit. Then I'm not really a kid anymore, even though obviously I'm still a kid at 16. I'm still a kid even though tomorrow's my 18th birthday. I'm not an adult yet, no. But anyway, so the book I wrote before this, I also remember saying, I'm going to publish this book. And I got kind of far, and then I lost steam. But this one, I was determined. Wow, I had to go and leave it up again. What a memorable day that this last day of me being 17 is. I'll remember it for years and years and years. But anyway, I worked hard, and I filled up this whole notebook with all of my writing and everything. And then when I finished that, I got a new one, and I finished the story. And then when I was finished, I started transcribing it all online. So I opened a Google Doc, and I started writing it all out. I kind of edited as I went through it, but it wasn't really, it was kind of like my second draft. So there's still a lot for me to polish and clean and everything. Loud thunder, okay. And I got it all in there, and I started editing it myself. And this all happened by the end of 7th grade. I finished writing it all in there, and then I moved, and something crazy happened. I typed up this entire story, spent days and days and days and months and months and months, and however long it took, on my school account. And when I moved to a different school district, I got locked out of my school account, and I could not access my story. All that time I spent typing it all up for nothing. I couldn't get it. I called the school, I contacted them, I did whatever I could, and they're like, sorry, for like privacy reasons or for security reasons, we can't open back up your school account for you to get this one document, even though you worked so hard on it. And I was so frustrated. Because what was I supposed to do? I mean, I guess I could have typed it all up again, but then all the edits I made, all that time I spent, everything, it was gone. But I was determined not to give up. So I kept checking, I kept looking, and somehow on my tablet, since I put it on airplane mode, I think, something like that, my Google Doc was still accessible on airplane mode, and it didn't kick me out since I didn't go into my Google Docs since then. So I spent so long copying it over as much as I could, and sometimes it would like kick me out, some different things like that. It was crazy. It took days and days, but I got it all back. And I was so grateful. All my work was not for nothing. I kept going, I kept trying, and there it was. So, after it was back on there, I started editing it through 8th grade. Then my mom edited it for me, and then I was researching publishers. I wrote up a little blurb, I wrote up everything, the query letter, all that, and I looked up publishers that would allow kids, basically, well, not kids, but that would allow people to query them. And a lot were like, we don't accept manuscripts from people under 16, which I wanted to publish it before I was 16, but I kept looking, and I found maybe 10. I printed out the whole draft of my story. My mom helped me take it to the post office, and I sent it off, and I waited. And I waited, and I waited, and I waited. But finally, I began hearing back from some of the places. But sadly, there was always a reason. I mean, I know my writing wasn't perfect back then. I was literally just a middle schooler, and I have improved so much. So I'm sure there were many other stories that were better than mine. So it was either, wow, this is amazing, like, keep working, keep writing, I just didn't hear back from them. Or they'd be like, oh, we don't take people under 16. So it was all these reasons, and it was frustrating, but I'm glad I went through that process, and I'm glad I did it. I think I still might have a letter that one of the places sent back to me, so let me go see if I can find that. Okay, I found them. I have 2 letters still from the publishing companies. So this is from Charles Bridge Publishing, And it basically says, Dear young author, thank you so much for submitting your stories to Charlesbridge. Although Charlesbridge does not usually publish stories written by young authors, other companies do. We're enclosing a list of publishers who often publish stories written by young authors like you. We hope you'll try sending some writing to some of the companies on the list. We're sorry that we can't publish your stories, and we wish you the best of luck getting them published with another company. Sincerely, Trade Editorial Department. And then they basically attached a whole bunch of other companies, which was nice. A lot of them were magazines, so I couldn't get a whole novel published in a magazine, but it was still nice. Yeah, it's like Cicada Magazine, Cricket Magazine, Creative Kids Magazine, Highlights for Children, and yeah, New Moon, the magazine for girls and their dreams, different things like that. So it says, we hope that you can keep writing and submitting your work to publishers. The thing to keep in mind is that getting published is a matter of being in the right place at the right time. Don't give up. And remember, whenever you send something to a publisher, be sure to include a self-addressed stamped envelope with enough postage to cover the cost of returning your work. Good luck. So that was really nice. And most publishers actually didn't send anything back, but I really appreciated the ones who did. And now I have this time in my life to see that I did do this, that I did try to submit to publishers. And although it didn't go anywhere, it did actually. It helped me see what it was like to try and get published. So this one came with a little sticky note that said, keep writing, keep working, you are talented, which was really sweet. And then it's from Peachtree Publishers. It just says, Dear authors, thank you for offering your work to Peachtree Publishers. Regrettably, we are unable to accept your manuscript for publication. Out of 20,000 manuscripts we receive each year, we can only publish about 30 titles. Our decision to decline your work does not reflect on its quality or on the ability that you bring to it. As you know, publishing is very subjective, and another editor may feel differently about your work. We would like to give you a more personalized response, but time and volume of submissions does not permit this. Please know, however, that your manuscript received a thorough reading and a full consideration by our editorial staff. Best of luck in your publishing endeavors, and thank you again for considering Peachtree. But I thought that it was so sweet that even though they're like, oh, we can't be personalized, they did. They gave me that little sticky note, which meant so much to me. And all these publishers were so nice about reading through my work, like a 8th grade at that point. So I was like a 13-year-old girl, and now I have these from it. But even though I was getting all these rejections, I was not about to give up. And that is something that is very important to this process. That if you are going to try to get your work published, that if you want to be an author, if you want to be a young author, you just don't give up. So I started researching more self-publishing methods. My dad helped me find that on Amazon and Kindle, they let you self-publish your work. So I started looking into that. My dad helped me format it. I got my friends to do my cover art, and then I got to self-publish it on Amazon, which was awesome. We contacted my school, we contacted different local libraries, and some of them ordered my book, which was awesome, and got it in their libraries. And I also got to talk over Zoom, this was during the pandemic, to a class of elementary school kids all about writing. And I got a whole envelope full of thank you letters from them, and it was just the sweetest thing. And my mom's friend, who was a teacher, she put my book in her classroom, and this girl read it, and she loved it so much that she decided to send me a letter about it, which just made my day. So, never give up. So basically, now more about the book, now that we've gone throughout the process of how I published it. Like I said before, that this is, I don't know if I said this before actually, it's been a chaotic night, but this is a middle grade book, which means that it'd be best for middle schoolers, but also older elementary school grades if they're more, accomplished readers, so like 4th or 5th graders, and maybe even parents can read this to some of the younger elementary school kids. So I will read the back right now. In a land of Elementia, the great elemental war has been rampaging on for hundreds of years between the fire and water elementals. There is, however, nothing great about the war at all. Battles continuously rage on, and many elementals have died. In the midst of it all are 4 kids, Ash, River, Carter, and Lily. When the 2 fires and the 2 waters run into each other in the Forbidden Forest, they become fast friends. Despite the fact that they are complete opposites, each of these elementals have lost their parents and have been betrayed by both their family and friends. One day they meet a mysterious lady who tells them of a prophecy. She claims that this prophecy has come from their deity, Mother Nature, and that they are the 4 prophesized elementals that she has been searching for. The 4 soon discover that if they don't stop the war, all elementals will die. They find themselves caught in a battle for power that the queen of the fire elementals would do anything to acquire. These young elementals realize that they are wrapped up in something much bigger than themselves. Along their journey, they discover the true Elementia, and more importantly, they discover their true selves. Will Ash, River, Carter, and Lily, along with their new friends, be able to save Elementia before it's too late? So if this sounds something that's interesting to you, or someone you know in your life is a little younger and maybe they'd like to read this, then check it out. I'll put the link to Amazon in the description below. But one thing about publishing on Amazon that I have to say is you don't make a lot of money from it. I think I make like 50 to 75 cents per book sold because they spend a lot on printing it and everything. That's part of the cost. And then like they take a percentage of it, and then I only get a small percentage of the royalties. But that being said, I have sold about 150 copies of my book, and I think it was around 75 cents, maybe $1 at most. So I have made over $100 from this book, but that's only a small percentage of the time and hard work that I put into working on this. So all I really wanted in the end was to get my work out there into the world, to have people read my book. So if you want to become an author and you're young and you want to publish on Amazon, you can't be doing it for the money. You have to be doing it because you love this art form and you love writing and you just want to share your art with the world. So that is Elements, my first book. And while I was editing it and going through this process, I had also been working on the second book. I started writing it in this notebook, which my friend actually gave to me for my 12th birthday. And she wrote a little note inside, which was so sweet. And it says, "Happy birthday, Callie. Congrats on turning 12. I hope you like this notebook, and I know you will fill it up with your creative writing. I look forward to the day your story is published. You can be assured I will be the first to read it. You have been such an imaginative author. I know your writings will be enjoyed by all who read it." So that was really sweet. And it ended up being big enough for me to write my entire second story in it. So I really, really like this book, and it is the second book in the Elements series, and I think it is even better than the first one, obviously because I got older, and it is also longer than the first one. It's called Elements, Dawn of the Shadows. Again, my friend Eva Roy is the one who did the cover, and I love it. Basically in this book, well, I don't know. Okay, this is kind of, I guess, a little bit spoilers for the first book. So if you don't want spoilers for the first book when I read the back of it, it's not as much of a spoiler as like, this is the ending of it, but you kind of know that this will happen anyway because in a middle grade book, the good guys always win. So, book 2. After stopping the Great Elemental War, that's basically all the spoilers, Ash, River, Carter, and Lily think their adventures are over. When the special map revealing where the pieces of the mystical jewel are hidden goes missing, these 4 elementals know that their next journey is just about to begin. There's no question as to who stole the map. Queen Laviana and her son Daryl. Queen Laviana is the main antagonist in this book. Even though Queen Ivy, the new queen of Elementia, forbids these kids along with her own daughter Fern and their friend Thunder to go after the map, they decide to go anyway. These 6 friends must risk their lives again and travel to the lands beyond the beyond in order to get the mystical jewel pieces before their sworn enemies can use them to take over Elementia. A new prophecy is spoken. A different evil surfaces, and shadows begin to overtake the lands. When the friends realize how big the threat this new evil is, they must rethink their plan and team up with the villains they have been fighting against for so long. Now a team of 8, they must work together to stop this new villain. Will they be able to use their powers and defeat this evil and save Elementia, or will all of the lands be condemned to a much worse fate? So something that I really liked in these books was, I was not that into poetry, but I was into writing prophecies. I loved writing prophecies. So in the first book and the second book, there's a prophecy. They only learn of it partially through it. So let me see if I can find it. So this was the first prophecy I wrote, and it's not the best prophecy. I've definitely written better, but Two waters, two fires, in a war they must stop. For if they fail, all elementals will soon drop. Yes, if they fail, all elementals will soon die. They must stop the one of fire and the one of the sky. So, I think there was also another, like, riddle of sorts. I don't know if it was exactly a prophecy, but let me see. So, obviously, well, actually, I got my love of prophecies because of one of my favorite series when I was younger, Wings of Fire. I memorized that prophecy. I probably can still recite most of it from memory. But I don't think you guys are interested in me doing that right now. But here's another riddle I wrote for this. In neither light nor dark, in neither sun nor moon, where no war left its mark, where no joy sung its tune. So, that is all the first book. And then, of course, I had to put another one in here because I just was obsessed with prophecies. And then I wrote one for this book that I published with my friends as well. Alright, here it is. Darkness swirls like the snow, encompassing the land we know. Stopping this midnight depends on whether you join your arch enemies and defeat her together. So they're just very quick, but I liked them. And one of my favorite parts of this book was that I also wrote a chapter from the villain's point of view, which was super fun. I loved that. Both of these books are told in 4 different point of views in this one. All of the main characters get a point of view, and then 5 in this one. So these stories, they're not perfect, obviously. It was a stepping stone in my writing journey, but they were actually pretty good. Like, I haven't fully read through them since I published them, but I've read snippets or, like, flipped through them here and there, and I've been surprised. I didn't know it was that good still, and it could hold up years later. The one thing is, I didn't put very much internal conflict between characters, so, like, basically it was all just happening externally, which I think happens a lot in middle grade books, but it's not what I'm used to in, like, the young adult books I'm reading right now. But the next book I wrote with my friends, and there's some internal conflict in there, and it is called The Crown of Darkness. Okay. And Serafina Arda is actually a pen name since there's 4 of us, and we couldn't fit all of our names on the cover without it looking cluttered. So we decided to come up with a pen name. We had a whole Google Doc with a whole bunch of names, and I ultimately came up with Serafina Arda because it combined our main 4 characters' names. So Sarah for Saren, which was my character, Fina for Adolfina, which is my friend Eva's character, and Eva was the one who designed these beautiful covers. R for Arabella, which was my best friend Brinley, who you might have seen her in other videos, character. And then Ida for Helfrida, which was Eva's younger sister Nayara, who's actually in Brinley in my grade. Eva was a year older. And one snow day, we were all bored. It was end of 8th grade-ish, end of 9th grade for Eva. And Nayara, Eva, and I were talking, and we were like, we should all write a book together, since we were all working on our own projects. And we got Brinley involved, too, because she wasn't on our Google Doc that we had shared, but we're like, we can't do this without Brinley. And we started brainstorming, and we started writing and coming up with characters, and it was great. And we kept working on this, and everything, and we finished it, and then we got it published. This cover we actually got from a person on Fiverr who designed it for like $20, and then we added in some of our own little elements. So the candle, we had an inside joke about fancy candles. It's not going, but we decided to call it like Candle Publishing Company or something. Yeah, Fancy Candle Press. You can see it right below there. And then we all had a little dedication in there, and basically it's like dual POVs, but we all took a different character. So mine is Saren. Saren's an assassin. Well, she was trained to be an assassin. She hasn't actually killed anyone, so. But her mom was named Alicia, and she was working with basically the main villain of the world, Adrena. And Adrena's like the main one who's trying to get this crown and make it the Crown of Darkness and spread shadows and darkness throughout the lands. So, and then there was Arabella, the mermaid princess, but she's also half human. There was Adolfina, who's the daughter of Adrena, the main bad guy, and then there's Helfrida, the princess of the elves. So, Saren was sent to assassinate Helfrida, and then Arabella was visiting Helfrida as like a make friends with the elf realm so we can have allies. And then Adolfina was sent after Saren to watch her, and they all get involved together, and they all band together to basically stop the darkness. So the back of the book says, "A darkness is spreading over the land, and creatures of all kinds are dying from it. Where did it come from, and more importantly, where will it go next? The Dark Realm is led by the evil Queen Adrena, who is gaining power. Her goal is to conquer all of the 5 realms and create what she calls peace. When a strange shadow known as the Darkness starts to spread over a realm, the inhabitants have high suspicions of where it came from. The most important thing is to stop this darkness. But how? Saren has been trained to be an assassin since birth. Dreams of living up to her mother's name, the most feared assassin in all of the realms. Helfrida, a sweet elf princess with incredible archery talent, tries her best to be an heir worthy of the elf realm throne. Arabella Delta is half mermaid, half human. She is the princess of 2 realms and wants to become a wonderful ruler just like her mother. Adolfina's mother is an evil, ambitious woman named Adrena, who is the queen of the Dark Realm. She has spent most of her life locked away in her house, covering for her mother while she is away, which is something only a shapeshifter can do. Will these 4 girls be able to save the realms before it's too late?" So this one's more young adult, but I'd say it's on the younger end of young adult, because we were basically when we wrote it was kind of for that age range, 8th, 9th grade, 10th grade, more of the earlier stages, maybe middle schoolers can read it too. And it was so fun to do. I absolutely loved it. I also made little drawings for the top of each chapter. So for Helfrida, we have flowers. For Arabella, we have a seashell. For Saren, we have a little throwing star. And for Adolfina, we have a little bird. Why can I not find an Adolfina chapter? Come on. Oh, a little bird, because she's a shapeshifter and she shapeshifts into a bird. So this was really fun to do. It was our longest book we actually wrote, because both of these I think count as novellas. They have bigger words than in The Crown of Darkness, so their words are like this. Well, The Crown of Darkness words are like that. So these are actually both counting as novellas, since they're not quite 50,000 words, but they're close. And this was over 50,000 words. So this was my first novel I published. I remember they put me and my friends in the school newsletter and was like, "We have 4 authors in our school, they published a book." But the funny thing about this is we actually never received a cent of revenue from this, which wasn't really the point, but yeah, basically we tried to set up a whole Amazon account in Serafina Arda's name and then link my friend Friendly's mom's bank account to it. But they were like, "We need proof that this is Serafina Arda's bank account." And we're like, what do we do? And basically we could never get that figured out. But it's okay. I still say buy the book because it is great. Although it kind of leaves off on a cliffhanger ending, and we wrote the whole second novel, and then we didn't edit it because we all kind of lost steam, grew busy. Now my friend Eva's in college, we're going off to college. So, I don't know, who knows, maybe we'll release it somewhere someday. But for now, you can read it and then just make up your own ending. I don't know, or don't read it, whatever, because we won't get money from it anyway. But do you know what is a full series? These 2. Although I did kind of leave this off on a little cliffhanger on the end, and I actually did write a whole 3rd book for this. Why is this a theme in my life? Reading a book and then losing interest and being like, I'm out of my elements time now, and then not finishing it. There was a lot wrong with this book, and I felt like I had to edit it a lot, and at that point I was working on Crown of Darkness, so I just never came back to it. But these 2 you can read as a full duology. You don't need a 3rd book. This one kind of needed to be a duology to finish it, but whatever. So these are my 3 published books, guys! Okay, also I found the little card that the person who I talked to her class wrote for me. It says, "Callie, thank you so much for presenting to my class. They absolutely loved hearing about your journey. Keep writing and inspiring," which was so sweet. And I was going to give a whole presentation to a bunch of grades in my library in middle school in 8th grade, but then it fell through that year. No, it wasn't 8th grade. It was 9th grade I was supposed to come back, and it fell through because of the pandemic. And then that librarian retired, so it never really went anywhere, but I was so glad I got to talk to a class, and maybe now I'm inspiring all of you young writers out there. And I probably will do another video about writing, but more about the books that I'm working on right now, because I'm working on one that I'm very excited for, and I think could be my actual next book that I publish, and I'm going to try to send that one into publishers again, and then if I can't, then I'm going to publish it on Amazon. But I learned a lot from writing these books, and I learned a lot from writing all my unfinished projects, from everything in general. My writing has improved so much, and it still has a long way to go because nothing is perfect. But I'm so happy with where I am in my writing journey, and I'm so happy to call myself an author of 3 books, which is absolutely insane. Who knew that before I even turned 18, I would have 3 books out there in the world and be working on a 4th one? That is literally like around 45,000 words right now, which is crazy because to be a novel, it's 50,000 words, and I'm not even close to being done right now, so I'm really excited for that. And I hope you guys enjoyed hearing about my writing journey. I know it's not reading, but I had to talk about this sometime, right? And now that I'm getting back into writing again and getting so excited about my current book, I just, all this nostalgia of looking back on my books. So I really enjoyed this journey, and I have 2 more book writing related videos that I have planned in the future. One about my current books, and then another about the books that I wrote when I was little and the projects that haven't really gone anywhere. So if you want me to read those, then stay tuned. But I think that it is only fair that I start by reading maybe the beginning of The Crown of Darkness. And maybe in my next video I will share the first chapter of Elements. But because this is just a quick prologue, so I feel like I can read it. 16 years ago, it was a cool autumn day as red, orange, and yellow leaves drifted gently to the ground. A young woman was bent over a grave as her tears fell and seeped into the earth. Grappling with her emotions, she spoke, though she knew the man buried below would never hear her. How could she? How could she betray us? We had everything planned out. We were going to rule the realms together and bring peace. She just had to go running to her father and tell him everything. She thought she was saving everyone, but no. Instead, she caused your death. Oh, Javin, I wish you were still here. The wind began to blow, and the leaves of all different colors swirled around the woman, her long strawberry blonde hair ruffled up in the breeze. What is this, Adrena? A cold but beautiful voice demanded from behind the grieving lady. Adrena whipped around to find a tall woman standing right behind her. She wore black pants and a simple gray shirt. She wore, strapped to her waist, a leather belt with a sheathed dagger hanging from it. Adrena had no idea how long the woman had been there or what she had heard. Adrena quickly wiped away her tears and stood up. What are you doing here? She demanded, while standing as tall as she could. I believe that I asked you a question first, the crimson-haired woman said. Her bright green eyes glowed menacingly. Adrena glared at the other woman. This plan has failed, she spat. It would have worked if Anya had not spilled it to her father, King Adish. So they came all this way for no reason, the young woman concluded. She sighed and began to walk in the direction of a small stream, her soft leather boots making no sound on the damp ground. If you decide that you still need me, you know where to find me. Wait! All at once, everything came to a stop. The wind stopped blowing, and the woman stopped walking, and all was quiet. I may still need you, Alicia. We need to go on with a new plan. Alicia turned around quickly, causing her dark velvet cloak to flutter slightly. What is it? She asked. That selfish elf must learn her lesson. Adrena's amber eyes were wild and full of malicious intent. What is it you would like me to do? Alicia inquired with a small smirk. A wicked grin slowly spread over Adrena's face, and her eyes flashed with madness. I want revenge. I want you to kill Princess Anya of the Elves. Dun dun dun! So if you want to hear my writing in this, and you want to hear my writing in these stories, make sure to check it out. But if not, no hard feelings. These were my books from a little while ago, and my writing has vastly improved. So if these seem a little young for your reading taste, or whatever, you can just stick around, and maybe you'll be more interested in the next book that I want to publish. Although that will probably be years before it comes to fruition. But anyway, see you guys next time. Bye!